All right. Guess we're live here. So hi guys. Um, this is the RegiCast. Really the revisited series that I've been doing. I'm Reginald. I'm the host, the content creator, and curator for this YouTube channel. Hi. Okay. So basically, what this is the part of this is probably really boring to you, and it's probably going to get even worse because turns out the internet has been really, really shitty. So if it's lagging, it's going to piss me the fuck off. But yeah, this I'm gonna have to deal with that over the weekend. Um, I don't even know what to say about that. So yeah, so let's do this. So I always do these revisiteds. If you can fucking hear me, I always do these revisiteds to really kind of touch base, just kind of think through and process the past 10 episodes, and see, if there's anything that I especially appreciated about them, anything I could learn from them, specifically moving forward. Now, let's start with the high level shit. I'll do the high level shit. I actually took notes this time to avoid some decider drama. So I'll do that, and then I'll answer any questions or answers. But just given, like, the internet has been fucking crazy. So given the situation the internet's been in the past few days, I am super not expecting Q&As. So let's start with that. Let's start with the general fucking observer rant. My internet has been acting up. I mean, it's always been pretty bad. Or not pretty bad. But it wasn't great. But initially I actually thought it was a laptop issue, and maybe it is. That's another fucking issue. They lost my laptop that I ordered. So I had to call them, and they're basically gonna, send me another one. But I think especially recently, over the past like week or two, the actual connection has been super choppy for me, and I don't even know what else to say. I think so. Someone moved in, so I live in a rented place, like an actual house. So I'm renting it out, landlady, roommates, all that. We recently added someone, right? Don't even get me fucking started with that. Okay. But we recently added someone, and I think that is what's setting the bandwidth issues over the edge, because now it's like, how like on a bandwidth, it's like the more devices are connected to the network, it's like the more shitty it is. I think that's what's happening. And like, so even with my phone, I try to disconnect everything other than my laptop to the Wi-Fi, with the exception of my Switch. But like, the internet has been super bad, and I feel bad because, um, like the episode quality, like for example, Dallas wasn't that great, and I think it was because of my internet in large part. Like, so, and I'm actually, I guess this is for the best, because I actually have an episode coming up with Dave Powers, hopefully tomorrow. But I do not want the internet quality to be like this. So, basically, um, I'm gonna have to look into some stuff at Best Buy tomorrow morning, and then just do some experiments. It's fucking annoying, right? I don't have SI. I'm not like a super like ST type of person, but I have to somehow figure this out, because anyway, so that's honestly been one of the bigger things that's been on my mind. It's super frustrating. I know the people who are watching these probably get frustrated as well, because like AV quality matters. So yeah, so that's been the biggest thing. But the laptop's on the way. On a positive note, and I truly mean this, I have been really, really glad about the progress of the channel, both from a content distribution standpoint, and also from an aesthetic standpoint. Now, the aesthetics, I can take no credit for that. Okay. I think the aesthetics is truly, that's all Mina. So Mina, I did an episode with her. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. I probably should ask her, but Mina, um, did an episode with her, by the way, if you want to go check that out. But she has been super like incredible in terms of like making the YouTube channel like look like a fucking legit thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you guys know I am very willing to post a video with no fucking thumbnail. Like that's the type of person I am. Okay. But she has done an amazing job. Like her recent thumbnails in particular. I like the fonts. Like you know how like they're like little slanted? I like that. I also do like the actual picture quality. Um, so yeah, that has been really awesome. I've sent it to all my friends. They loved it too. So I was really happy about that. And then also just like the actual content, right? So I've been studying Gary Vee, as some of you guys know, and his big one of the well, not one his big thing, but one of the tactics I suppose he preaches is you need to post content on a consistent basis to build brand. And one of the ways that you want to do that is you want to create pillar content, so long form content like my actual interviews. And then from there you have like dozens of clips from that one interview, right? So that's I've started a schedule for that. Um it's just so that I don't compete with the Dave and Shan schedule. I'm going to be posting those on Fridays and Sundays. That's my current plan. Obviously subject to change and all that. But, I posted my first two clips. There was one that was more experimental, but I posted my first legit clip on schedule today, which I'm super happy about. And I like it. I like the fact that they're shorter. I like the fact that I like the feedback that I've been getting from them. I think a lot of people are finding those to be very accessible. So that's been really, really cool. So yeah, I think that's been awesome. Um, and then also just the people I talked to over the past 10 episodes in particular. So that has been really cool. So what I'm gonna do, I've learned my lesson from the last iterations of this. I am not like I made sure to get as much consent as possible from the people I'm gonna be messaging, you know, or talking about. So I'm going to be sticking to really I'm going to be focusing on episodes 21 to 30 and just kind of I have some notes actually. Um I no longer feel as comfortable talking about episodes without, getting it at least in front of the people that I'm talking about cuz you're anyway, if you guys have been following me for a little bit, you guys know what the fuck happened last time. So, let's go ahead and start it. And then once I'm done with this, like I said, if you have any questions for me in particular, or if you have any suggestions, comments, this is actually probably the perfect time to ask your live chat questions. If not, that's fine because I'm tired. So it's a win-win. All right. So let's start with Mina, whatever. Now I'm super insecure about saying her name. So she's absolutely my favorite human being, like top five, easy, right? That's probably not reciprocated. Okay, I don't give a fuck. Okay, I'm beyond that. I really think she's a cool person. Okay, I think she's a really amazing person. She is very strong-willed. She's been through a lot, and she's helping people through a lot, which is awesome. Um, Now that episode was pretty funny to me. I was not expecting her, so my SI locked onto the sign she made, the like it's a joke. I thought that was hilarious. I was not man. I guess I don't take jokes that well, like to the point where she's making fucking signs. Like, it's a joke. I guess I'm not good at taking jokes. That's hilarious. I thought it was funny. I thought it was really cute too. That was pretty funny. That's my SIFI like that. Um Now, in addition to that, I think on a more serious note, I really do think it's funny. I am always surprised at the degree to which people open up on this show because like I mean, I would hope I had something to do with that, right? But I don't know if that's always the case, but definitely in the case of this episode, I was not expecting her to bring up some of the stuff she brought up. Um I felt very it was a very humbling experience for me because it like it was some real shit. Like and it kind of reminded me of some stuff I'm going through as well. It was pretty I thought that was a pretty important moment for the show. It very very much like other episodes where people have kind of opened up to that degree. I think, I'm very grateful that, you know, she chose to do that here. I, and much like I've said before, that is actually the type of content I want to be gravitating towards. Like, because OP is cool, but like OP, at least within that context, right? The deeper context of, like deep life struggles and what did you do to overcome that, and like almost like the Tom Tom show. Like I kind of like the Tom Tom show for that reason. So like the Joe Rogan / Tom Tom vibe is what I'm going for, and she really leaned into that, which I'm very grateful for. I thought that was awesome. Along similar lines, and hopefully my Wi-Fi is, I'm seriously gonna have an observer freak out. I think my Wi-Fi just cut out, but that's okay. Okay. Anywho, one thing that I think was really interesting about Mina is she preaches FI in a very interesting way, and I highlighted that on the actual episode, because whereas a lot of people talk about FI as the significance, the significance side of FI, which is, I mean, almost like textbook definition. I get that. One thing that she talked about that I at least associate with FI is this notion of self-acceptance, right? Like she is radically all in on that, right? It's like you have to just kind of like accept who you are. Like you can't beat yourself up over things, especially if you want to improve, right? I think that's actually her message. Is like if you actually want to TE improve, you need to first accept where you are and not judge yourself, right? That's still a hard one for me to personally accept. I mean, like, not to say it's wrong. I think it's right. It's just like literally practically, it's hard for me to live that out. Let's put it that way. Because I have a lot of high expectations, and those high expectations can be very crippling, especially when it comes to myself. But I think her message is something that is worth repeating, worth highlighting, which I think is really good. I think her blast was hilarious when it came to yo, her blast was fucking hilarious. I'm not even gonna lie. This one blast she did where she was like, yo, fuck your books. Yo, fuck your books. You don't read books to type people. I thought that was fucking hilarious. I think it's true. I do not like, it was one of those things where it's like I realized the moment she started blasting about that, like I am not someone who cares about typing that much, right? And I've said this. I've been very open about this. I'm not super into reading everything about a person. I'm not. But I thought that blast was extremely important. In fact, I'm probably going to make a clip out of that because I think, especially for the OP community, I think that is definitely something that people need to understand. And basically, to sum up what she said, it's like, you don't learn how to type people or read people's motivations out of a textbook. That's fucking dumb. Okay. What you do is you have to establish a baseline of observations of the person for yourself. And then you have to triangulate off of that. And I think one of the questions she recommended asking once you establish that baseline is, what is the underlying motivation? Like, what would compel this person to do X, right? Given the baseline of observations or behavior that you've seen, right? And that's very time consuming, as she said. But, I think a lot of people, including myself, don't want to put in the work. So don't be fucking surprised. Matter of fact, I'm getting fucking triggered. Don't be surprised if you put an hour into a person and you get their type wrong. Okay? No. Okay? I think human beings have patterns, and I think they are predictable to a large degree, but not like an hour. Like, especially for you people in the study group, you can't even fucking type consistently week after week compared to Dave and Shan even. So stop. Anyway, that's my little rant. Okay? So get over it. Actually put in the work. I'm not putting in the work, so I accept that I'm not going to read people that well. But for everyone who's talking all this big shit, go put your hours in. Okay. Finally, I like her masculine TE. It hurts sometimes, if we're being honest. But it hurts in a way where it's like fuck, she's right. Like it's like I should have done this or I shouldn't have done this. Like it's kind of that sting of truth, which I really appreciate. I really like that actually. It's not, and it's never vindictive, at least in my experience. I don't think she's a vindictive person. She's a very like to the point person, which is very expected of masculine TE, but she's not, I don't think she's a mean person at all. So that's Mina. Feel free to start some decider drama over that. Next is Kim. Okay. Kim was funny. I think Kim's funny. I think her deadpan humor is pretty funny to me. Right? Like she was like, yeah, give me a fucking trophy. I was dying a little bit. Like I thought it was funny. Very consistent humor style. Now I got triggered the fuck. Like I got triggered to hell in that interview. Not because of her as a person, literally because I think my body just doesn't like masculine SI. Like it's just so resistant to the shit. It's like because it's like she talks like this. It's like we are gonna stay on this one topic, and once it's resolved, we closed it up, and now we're gonna move on. I'm like, fuck, like I can't know. You know what I'm saying? And then also her memory, right? So for those of you guys who watched the episode, or if not, that's fine. But she has a very, very prodigious like memory. That's all I can say. Sensory memory is terrifying, right? Like, and to the point where she's described it as like, I don't know if she said infinite, but this very vast filing cabinet where she can like pinpoint everything in her life, and she organizes her life, and she wants everything organized in a similar manner. I'm like, man, my body just viscerally just couldn't, you know, which is understandable, right? Because like me with feminine NE, her with masculine SI, she's basically pointing out that rigidity that I need, but I am not yet implementing, right? Like, so to give you an example of the rigidity in my own life, it's like, I don't get much sleep, as you can imagine, but I've been trying to force myself to get 7 hours of at least rest. It's torture. I fucking hate it. Now, this is weird, right? Because people are like, well, why don't you love sleep? Like, literally, I set a timer for 7 hours, and sometimes I stay awake, right? Because I'm so used to being up. But it's like, I don't look at electronics. I keep the lights off. And I'm like, this is torture. And then my mind's going crazy. And like, but that is an example of the masculine SI like trap. And it's like, for me, speaking with Kim, it's like it's like that's her home. Like that box is her home. And I'm like, fuck that, you know. Not to say that she's a bad person. I just think that juxtaposition is very important for me to point out, because I think it's good to know. I think it's good to know why you react to people, right? Because if it's you, then fucking deal with it, right? Like I'm gonna have to deal with that. Like that's not her fault, you know? So anyway. Also, there was something that she said. I don't remember the exact sensory, guys, so that's why you guys gotta watch it. But there was something she said. So she was giving an example of like her love for people, right? I think she genuinely loves people. Like legit, right? There was this one like really like inspiring story of, I think it was a girl, she was at like a camp or something, she was like teaching at a camp or like a gym instructor or whatever, and like there was this little girl who wanted to rock climb, but she was super scared, right? And Kim was basically walking her through it. And I don't even know if I can recount this, but like the way that Kim encouraged this little girl, like basically saying, hey, you know, if you take one step towards the wall and you decide you not do it, I'm still proud of you. And like that type of self-talk, right? That positive self-talk, you know, and the positive message. I thought that was super inspiring. I think I might clip that, but like that was super inspiring to me. I thought that was that gave me a lot of good feelings. I thought it was good vibes. Because I don't think there are many people who have that level of faith in people, I guess, and faith in humans. I definitely fucking don't. I don't even care if you're 12. It's like, climb the fucking wall or not. Like, that's your bomb. But with Kim, it's like a genuine, pure interest, a pure faith. You know, I think that's really positive. Okay. Oh, and then the last thing with that episode, which I think is super important, that she has masculine TE, right? Much like Mina, right? And one thing that she highlighted was, she said that whenever she feels left out or ignored is when the demon feminine FI swing happens. And I was like, I have seen that. I have several people in my life who have masculine TE, and I have seen that shit. It's like, if you put them off in a corner, they're just, first of all, they're going to be mad at you, and then they're going to fucking TE you to death. But then once they get over that, it's like, I feel terrible. It's like, they're like, oh my God, no one loves me. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. But the reason I'm highlighting this is not to talk shit. It's more so, I think it's extremely important to highlight that, right? It's like there's a feminine FI to every masculine TE, right? Especially given the reputation that masculine TE has in the OP community, right? Like I've seen in the comments, and because I'm scrolling through Facebook all day, right? I like there's this reputation of them being very bullish or like Karens and all this stuff, and there's some truth to that, but it's like there is a very I don't want to even call it aggression. I don't even know what to call it. It's that intensity is it just they just want to be a part of the fucking group. Like, you know, like can they live? You know? It's not aggression so much as they're so interested in being a part of the situation that, you know, if you cast them off to the side, especially with TE, and say you're fucking useless, it's like, yeah, that's a fucking implosion right there waiting to happen. So I think that's really good that she highlighted that and she was honest about that, especially since it's like I think it's like a double, triple demon or whatever for her. So that was really good. So thank you, Kim, if you're watching this. All right, next. Oh, but then also, if you need to DM me and tell me I'm full of shit, do that. Okay. Next is Amelie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Whatever. Amelie is my type twin, guys. So first of all, she's my type twin. Twinsies. Okay. So, you know, I think it's really important. I think it's one of those things where I am, maybe it's my DE or whatever, but I feel somewhat guilty that I have not established the best possible relationship with Amelie that I could have, especially given that, at least according to this system, we're so psychologically similar, right? It's like, you know, I think that's important. I think that's not something you just ignore, right? I don't think you just ignore those people who are your type twins. I think that's kind of fucked up. That's my official stance. That's pretty fucked up. Okay. But it's I don't know, you know, it's like I don't think I fully put in the effort. So that's my fault. And then also there's fucking drama like on my part, right? So that's my fault as well. But I thought this interview was a really good place to start. I'm really glad she decided to say yes. That was really cool. And I'm gonna say this is definitely an FI territory, so don't anyway. But I think Amelie's like after that episode in particular, because I remember I did the interview and then I rewatched a little bit of it as I tend to do with my episodes, and I was like, I understand why people like legitimately like her. Like she's a sweetheart. Like legitimately, like how do I word this? I don't know how to word this. Like she is just genuinely charismatic. She's very interesting personally, like, you know, linguistics, music, poetry, all that. And I think she has a very good vibe about her, right? Like, you know, it's very not serene, that's taking it a little bit far, but it's more on the serene end of the spectrum than like intense, right? And I think that's just I like that. Now I know someone called me, I forgot who it was, but someone called me the fuck out for like during that episode. It's like I put myself down to raise her up and I was talking like I was doing the whole DE thing. I'm sure I did that, but like I think also I genuinely think she's that interesting, right? I think she is genuinely someone who yeah, I think she's genuinely that good of a person. So I mean, I probably overplayed it, so that's probably my fault for making it a little bit too DE-ish. But I genuinely liked it. So okay, with that being said, let me see what's going on here with my notes. Oh, few things though. So one, I still find it fascinating that we seem to gravitate towards different functions. Like we seem to emphasize different functions, right? Like with her, it's almost like her well, I mean, we're both NETE, right? So that's gonna happen, but like it's almost like her SI is more of a factor. Like her jokes are very SI, like referencing, right? She's always referencing like SI in her jokes, which I think is very cool. Whereas with me, it's like I feel like this is my subjective take. I think I am more leaning on the FI, right? I'm like, even if it's peacocking, that is the one I'm more leaning on and, you know, emphasizing in my personality, which I think is interesting. I don't know why we're doing that. I know we started talking about that. It might be a cultural thing. It might be a socialization thing. Men, women, the whole fucking shebang, right? I'm not a sociologist, so whatever. But it may be some of those sociological factors, but there is something going on there that I've been tracking, and that might be worth revisiting, like in like a more concentrated conversation or something like that. Next, in regards to that episode, and I thought this was super important. So she discussed maturity, right? Because I was kind of hyping her up as being more mature than me, which I still think is true. Maybe I'm over exaggerating that because but anyway, I still think she's extremely mature. At least I can say that. And her discussion of maturity as a byproduct of pain and suffering, I thought it was super sad, because it's like, well, fuck. I mean, if you're this mature and you're saying it's because you went through so much suffering, I mean, how bad was it? I can't even imagine. But I also thought it was very true, and I think that's true with people who are mature in general, right? Like, and so I thought that was really, really. I mean, it was sad to listen to, but I think it was a good reminder of your pain is what leads to. Your pain is what will accelerate your path to being a fucking adult if you choose to. Let's put it that way, right? Because we all know those people who fucking suffer and then they're complaining and, so, but that's not her, which is good. She talks about her poetry, right? And she, in that episode, and she talks about how, when she gets into a certain reflective stage, everything around her becomes poetry. Now, I have not talked about this with her or with anyone, right? But I think you guys would be surprised at like how much I used to relate to that, at least, right? I can't say I do that too much these days, but especially in college when I had like more of a bandwidth and free time. I mean, that's where like I would go on a lot of like walks in nature, and I would journal and I would write, and yeah, it was this very enchanted, experience. I mean, I do think that's partially SIFI. And I have not talked about that, but I do remember when she was speaking about that, I'm like, oh, this is extremely familiar, right? And that might be something worth revisiting at some point, because I think that does give insight into not only SIFI in the OP terms, but this is a bit of a channel change, but also in Jungian terms, right? Because in psychological types, Carl Jung talks about SI as he kind of talks about it with this kind of enchantment, or well, maybe not exactly enchantment. He uses the term subspecies aeternatia, like it's Latin, and basically what that means is like from the perspective of eternity, right? That's what he argued SI is doing. So from the perspective of eternity, you are seeing things develop in time and space, like in and I think there's an enchantment to that. Anyway, so that might be worth revisiting. That, yeah, and I think that's it. There was probably a lot more to that episode that I forgot, honestly, but I'd probably rewatch it. But I thought overall I thought that was a really good episode. Next, I'm actually just noticing, like, was everyone a thinker this round? Wow. Well, except for Julian, Versavia, and Dallas. Okay, never mind. So let's talk about Heather. Okay. Heather. All right. If you're watching this, Heather, I already messaged you, so you already know you're okay with this. Heather, come on now. You care about the respect, okay? You care about in Heather's words, it was value recognition. She cares a lot about, but you care a lot about that, okay? I thought it was hilarious. Not to downsize the shit that you're going through, but like, just that, like, it was so unapologetic in that episode. She was like, no, I want my fucking rating. I thought that was fucking funny. Man, I wish people with DE were more honest like that, because sometimes, like, people with DE, they fucking like fake it, including myself. We fucking are like, oh no, we're really trying to help this person or that person. It's like, no, like, we're trying to fucking be that guy. We'll talk about that when I get to the Dallas episode. Everyone's trying to flex, okay? But anyway, now what's interesting about Heather when it came to this value recognition that she was craving and that she thought she was not getting, on paper it sounded more like DI, and I was like, this is kind of weird, right? Because she's blast play, but this sounds like a very DI concern, right? It's like, where is my respect? Where am I? But, to be fair, I don't understand DE too well, or DI too well, because, you can argue that she's ranking herself compared to other people, but, we don't have to get into that. But, my recent realization, and again, like I said, once Dallas is up, when I get to the Dallas thing, my realization that both DE and DI want to be the most important person in the room. The moment I'm like, oh, everything she says is making sense, right? It's like, I want to be the best. I want to be the best person in the room. Like, DI and DE care about that. And so that, once I had that, I rethought about, so to speak, Heather's episode and what she was saying. I was like, this is definitely, whether it's DE or DI, it's definitely a decider concern, which everyone has, right? But I thought that was really cool. Heather has a lot of positive energy on a separate note. Super fun to talk to, super energetic, very she smiles a lot. Now that might be a weird SI thing to point out, but like, she's definitely like a smiley, like positive energy type of person. Like, and of course she got irritated, especially with the fucking value recognition thing, but it's not like negative, you know what I'm saying? Like, so to contrast, like, I feel like I'm someone who gets negative sometimes, right? Where it's like, if I'm down, I'm really fucking down. I'm toxic, I'm complaining and all this. And I don't know her super well, so maybe she does do that sometimes. But I feel like in our conversation, Heather, there was none of that energy, which I thought was super cool. Really good vibes. And then finally, importantly, Heather taught me about let me see if I can say this right. Inter-rater reliability. Okay, so fun fact, guys. When Dave and Shan say double blind, they don't even fucking mean it. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. I didn't even know that. Apparently, people knew that. So a double blind, I don't know what a double blind is. I know people told me to Google it. I forgot. It's fucking complicated. Go Google it. But whenever Dave and Shan say double blind, what they actually mean is, how they say, hey, we're trying to get the same type as each other statistically over, to a statistically significant degree over time. That is, in actual scientific terms, that is what is known as inter-rater reliability. So you're increasing the reliability factor inter or between raters, right? So that's what that means. And so I thought that was really good for her to point out. I'm not sure if I'm going to call Dave the fuck out on that on his episode. I'm trying to be nice, but I might have to, because that's fucking embarrassing. But that's okay. We're learning. Okay. So, but Heather, really appreciate you pointing out the ST on that. Okay. Next is Joyce. Joyce. Okay, I'm getting fucking triggered. Joyce, if you're listening to this, I'm not going to insult you. We've talked about this. I am personally confused at how TIFEs don't know what they fucking want. It baffles my mind. Because when I ask, like, this happened a lot on the episode. I would ask her, what do you like? What do you prefer? What do you want to talk about? And she's like, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about. And she's DI, right? She's double activated DI. And she's still like, I'm like, why? And so this has led me to be really fucking triggered. Okay. Not at her. Okay, Joyce. Okay. I'm triggered at the information. Okay. Of like, what the fuck? Like, why are people with FE not just saying what they fucking want? I don't understand. And I think part of the reason I don't understand this is because I think maybe my SI sampling is skewed to hell. Because like, in my mind, I'm like, well, okay, like, Gary Vee knows what he wants. Elon Musk seems to know what he wants. Sam Harris sure to fucking hell knows what he wants, right? So I'm like, okay, but in my experience, like, actual interviews, it's like, it has been a consistent pattern where people with TI or FE are like, well, I don't know what I want, or I don't know what my preference is, or I don't know what I like. Let's just talk about what you want to talk about, or let's just talk about something that just makes sense or whatever. Like, I don't get it. And I think Joyce, it got to the point in that episode where I was like, I don't understand anymore. It wasn't even anger. I was just like, I don't get this. And this is probably something I'm going to revisit. I have an idea about how I'm gonna go about doing that. No promises though, but I might. Anyway, let me not give away my plans on that. Now, with that being said, so Joyce is 24, right? I still have the vibe that she feels older than me, to me, right? And I do think like people who are savior sleep, or I'm wondering, I guess. My question now is, do you psychologically mature the more you sleep process is kind of the question that I'm having, right? Because like not even listening to her self reports, because she's like, oh, I feel like I'm 100, sure, but like to me, she feels older. I maybe not 100 or 70 or whatever she was trying to say, but she definitely feels like she was in her mid 20s, early 30s or whatever, and I guess she is in her mid 20s, but she's younger, like significantly younger than me. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. So that's something that's on my mind. I'm gonna start looking out for that. Does sleep processing lead to a maturity thing? And then actually, as a callback, then what that would mean is like, so for example, going back to the Amelie episode, it's like, did Amelie like activate her sleep earlier in life or something? That would be kind of the train of thought my mind would go down. Oh, but Joyce, the biggest contribution and thing that I'm grateful for from that episode is, I think based on that episode, I have a new SI breakdown of what sleep processing is, because she walked me through it, and I actually talked it through with other people at Savior Sleep, and they seem to agree. So I'm gonna read it out, okay, and then we'll move on. So the SI breakdown of sleep processing is this, right? So step 1 is you have to be fucking like annoyed by something, has to bother you, right? So you have to be bothered by something to the point where you're like this is gonna annoy me if I don't resolve this, right? In her case, it was very theoretical stuff, right? So what is, I think the example she gave me was, if someone's in a conversation with her and they ask her, is God omnipresent? And she doesn't know the answer to that, and for some reason she cares, right? That is what sticks in her mind. I've heard people with Savior SI talk about, including myself, talk about, hey, there's this one person or this one memory or this one thing at work that's bothering me, right? Jordan Peterson, this is bugging me, right? That type of language. So that's step 1, right? So step 1 is you have to have something that's bugging you, right? Step 2 is basically you have to like work on that thing that's bugging you, nonstop, basically, right? Whether you're thinking about it, journaling about it, talking about it, maybe not talking about it as much. No, actually, no. I lied, because even people with Savior Sleep, I've noticed if they're on the more extroverted end of the continuum, they do need to talk it out. Dave has talked about this. There are other people who have talked about this. But yeah, it's like you like everything is about that one problem, right? That's the OI narrowing down, right? So once something's bugging you, everything in your life becomes about that problem, right? And even if you're not actively working on it, it's still in the back of your mind, apparently, to the point where everything in your life is being reframed or framed according to that problem. So for example, for Joyce, if she's thinking about, is God omnipresent, and she's not necessarily thinking about it, she's going throughout her day and she's looking for little clues in her external environment as to like, okay, is omnipresence something like that? Is omnipresence something like this? I'm not entirely sure how SI is doing that. But this is not perfect. This is not a perfect manual, but whatever. So that's step 2. Step 3 is is more so, yeah, step 3 is you do that process so much that you come to what's called a well-formed conclusion. And even for Joyce, who's Savior double activated TI, she describes it as a gut feeling. It's like you just know, right? It's not like you think about it. It's like you just kind of know you got there, right? I don't know what to say. And then step 4 is you put it in your, she calls it the gold nugget pile, which I thought was funny. Kind of cute too. But you put it in your gold nugget pile, and what ends up happening is 2 things. One, if you're Savior Sleep, or if you want to continue sleep, you can actually take the gold nugget and then re-put it in the funnel and start back at step 1, right? So you're constantly refining this one insight to the point where there's like extreme nuance, right? And Joyce gives a few examples on the episode if you want to listen to that. That's option 1. And then option 2 is you basically use it to build your identity of it's you basically use it to build your identity of, hey, I have this like almost secret knowledge, or this knowledge that no one else needs to know about, but it's mine, and it makes me more, significant because of that. So that's kind of the end game of sleep processing, those two things. So I thought that was really cool. Joyce overall was pretty fun to interact with. I am looking forward to interacting with her again. So that was pretty fun. Next is Emily. Okay. Okay, so Emily is fucking funny. Okay, I think her Ennie is still off the fucking wall. I think that's funny. Okay, I don't know what humor style I like. That's a tangent, but I think Emily is funny in a very like irreverent type of way. Like it's like jokes at your expense type of way, which I like. I think Emily is extremely funny. I think the Emily episode, if we're being quite honest, is I was not super focused on the OP in that conversation because I'm like, we've been through this. But I thought she was just really good vibes to be around, like just good vibes. She's really friendly, when she wants to be. And I think she's very her thought process is very interesting. I think it's yeah, I don't know what to say. You'd have to watch the episode to see what I'm talking about. But she's just really good to vibe out with. Now the one OP thing that I will point out that I thought was really valuable was the contrast between FI and FE. Right, I thought it was fucking hilarious because she's at one point she points out, she's like, yeah, like FE is worried about other people's emotions and FI is worried about its own emotions. And she used the example of the pre-episode call because I do pre-episode calls for everyone. And she was like, yeah, like I noticed that, I was constantly tracking what would make you feel comfortable. And you were constantly tracking what made you feel comfortable as well. And so we both were concerned with whether you were comfortable. And, no one was concerned with whether I was comfortable, said Emily. And I thought that was hilarious because it's so fucking true. Like, I'm not even sorry about that. Like, my FI is if I'm not comfortable with you, that's where I put up my walls. That's where I'm like, I get really hesitant. But the moment I'm comfortable, then it's good, right? Everything's solved, right? I don't even stop to ask if they care or if they're comfortable or what their emotions are. It's probably really bad, but I think that was pretty funny. And, Emily pointing that out, really cool. Next, Versavia. Welcome back, Versavia. I know you're about to do the marketing game like me. Okay, go do your thing. Okay, put out content. Okay, get the hype going. All right. So that's a personal message for Versavia. Versavia, super good vibes. Very similar to Emily. I felt super comfortable talking with Versavia. Like even in the pre-episode call, I pointed out, I'm like, man, this is a good vibe. And I don't even like. And sorry, I personally don't know how she's doing it, but one thing she confessed to me is, when she's talking to people, she's trying to see what their FI is, and then she's trying to like accommodate that. And I don't know how she did it with me, but I really appreciate it. So thank you. Super good vibes. I would love to talk with her again. Super just vibing, right? And then also super insightful as well. So for example, her puzzle analogy, right? The how, so she uses the process of putting a puzzle together, like those jigsaw puzzles, and she contrasts the SI approach to the NI approach. The SI approach, really all the observer functions, but the SI approach specifically, and I do this in real life, which is crazy. Like, so let's say you're trying to put together a puzzle. First of all, everyone does the borders, right? That's just fucking obvious. If you're not doing the borders, come talk to me, okay? Don't come on, okay? But then SI, especially my SI is only worried about a very narrow subset of the puzzle. It's not looking at the big picture. It looks at a corner of the picture and it's like, okay, what are the puzzle pieces I need, and what are the puzzle pieces? First of all, what are the puzzle pieces I have, right? Sensory, and then what are the puzzle pieces that, like in this image, are surrounding this piece that I have, and it's getting extremely microscopic, and it's just worried about its puzzle piece and the puzzle pieces around it, right? So that's an analogy for what SI does. It's very narrow, It's not looking at everything. Whereas with NI, is very conceptual. So she talks about if you're solving a puzzle, once the border is done, of course, you take a step back and you look at the big picture. I mean, they're fucking known for saying shit like this. But yeah, you're looking at the big picture of, okay, like overall, what pieces are where, and then her SE is clumping, like, okay, I see a lot of blue, I see a lot of green, and overall it's going to be this shape. So let me just clump all the blues and greens together. I'm not going to put them together. I'm not going to like micro analyze which piece goes with which. I'm just gonna look at the clumping and then the big picture, and then eventually I'll see what connects, right? Which is fascinating for me, because definitely I do that with SI. I definitely am someone who just wants the next step. I'm not the next step, or the processes around me or whatever. Like, I am not someone who wants to see everything at once, because it's overwhelming for me. Now, what's interesting about that, as much as that helped me understand my SI, it actually made me more confused about NI, because, when you're sleep processing, for example, with NI, it's like, how are you sleep processing the big picture? Like, how are you, like, what does that even mean? So that I will admit that it led me to have more answers walking away from the conversation, as I did have questions answered. Hopefully I said that right. But anyway, you know what I meant. But yeah, she also, I ran the sleep processing breakdown that I just read off by her, and she also said she experiences that. So I think what I have, there's something to what the little steps I have, which is cool. And then finally, like, her OP projects, like, she's like, I mean, they're long term. Like, she's gonna start coming back onto Objectively Typed, which is awesome. She's thinking about doing some AI shit, which is fucking hype. Like, AI for OP guys, this is like right out the manifesto. You know what I'm saying? So that would be super cool. So I'm gonna be keeping my eye out on her stuff, and I would love to collab with her again for sure. Okay, 3 more episodes and then Q&A if you want, but if not, please, don't feel obligated. Trust me. Okay, Assis. What do I have? Assis, first of all, we already talked offline, Assis. All right. Now, with that being said, I love Assis, actually. I actually love Assis. I will actually go on record and say I love Assis. Now, and I'm going to say this in the most politically correct way, okay? Assis, I thought he was blast last, so I was like, okay, he's going to not want to talk. He can talk when he wants to. That's what I've learned. I have learned that blast lasters, if they want to talk, they will talk a lot. Okay? Aziz. Okay? All right. You already know what I'm talking about. Okay? But yeah, like, just because you blast last doesn't mean you're going to talk a lot. Okay? Trust me. Now, the fact that Aziz talked a lot about Peterson and what's this guy's name? Huxley, I think? No. What's this guy's name? Some philosopher guy. Let me look him up so that I'm not shitting on the sensory. Ken Wilber. Wow. Totally off. Okay. So yeah, so the fact that we had the conversation about Peterson and Ken Wilber, I also like that. So, like, very similar to what I said about that one other episode that already kind of passed my sensory, so my bad. But I want to have more conversations like that as well. I genuinely liked it. It got a little bit theoretical at times, but I mean, that is home territory for me, right? Like, OP is cool, but like, home territory for me is like Peterson, Nietzsche, Kierkegaard. I'm looking at my fucking bookcase right now. Kierkegaard. There's some evolution stuff. There's some neuroscience stuff. Ancient Rome, Plutarch. I mean, fuck, Aristotle. That's my fucking zone. The Iliad, that's my fucking zone. And the fact that I was able to have this conversation with Assis on my channel, I'm like, man, we're starting to get in this zone. I like this. I at some point my podcast will probably start transitioning to that So heads up, guys, for people with OI, it's going to start probably transitioning to more of stuff like that. I don't think typology is ever going to go away, right? But I'm trying to tell you, you know, that's the conversation quality that I'm looking for, like that deep, like, because I've been like, yeah, Peterson in particular, I've been thinking about his shit and referencing him for 3 years plus, easy. Like that shit, Peterson's not going away in my mind. Like that's his stuff's too important. But anyway, so C's, thank you for having that conversation with me. Okay, 2 more, and then we're gonna do. I don't even think there's questions. Thank God. All right, 2 more. Julia. See, this is my tangent, okay, and I'm saying this with the greatest respect. If for people with DE, like, or not DE, for people who are deciders, sometimes I'm like, well, am I even allowed to say anything then? Especially here at EJ, like, I'm like, am I allowed to say anything negative? Because, it's like I don't want you to think I'm coming for your life. I did not have much. I don't think I had much negativity really. Like, I don't even no. But like, I do feel sometimes I tiptoe around EJ's, just confession. But one thing I really appreciated around there, that episode, guys, if you're an OP especially, that is a case study in OP. You guys want some evidence? You want some censor proof on whether OP's fucking real? Watch that fucking interview. Every single animal and coin is there. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. I'm like, to the point that I might even teach a class on that shit. It's so blatantly obvious. And like, it was not scripted either. It's not like we were playing it up. I was legit triggered by the fucking laptop shit. She was not, right? So it's like, that's a perfect example. Feeling versus thinking, that's a perfect example. Guys, if you guys don't even fucking consume, how are you gonna learn? Okay? Go watch that. Go learn, and then I'm probably gonna share that with some people too. If we're being real, I'm actually legitimately considering teaching a class on that, or having someone teach a class on that or something. Like, it was too good. You can break, like, to the point, you know how Dave and Shan say every 5 minutes is you're giving away your type. I feel very confident in that if you stopped every 5 minutes and did a commentary, you can pull out like type from us. It was fucking crazy, that one. And I don't know why that happened. Like, I did not plan that, but trust me, super valuable. As an example, and this is the only freebie I'm going to give you, Julia emotes a lot. Okay. Woohoo! All that shit. I can't even do it without like making fun of it. That's not me. Okay. I know some people think I'm masculinify savior and they're like, Reggie, are you consumed? No. I do not emote that much. Okay. No. Okay. Now, granted, actually, circling back to Versavia for 2 seconds, Versavia doesn't emote that much either. So there's a contradiction. I like, to the point where I'm like, yo, is she a thinker? Like, I know she's Savior FI, but damn, she's crushing it, But Julia, in her case, she emoted a lot. Okay, go watch it. But Julia really appreciated it. And then finally, Dallas, basically Dave Powers at home. Dallas, first of all, I have to give a special shout out to Dallas because there, when that reschedule happened with Dave, I was in a pretty I was like, oh no, and like I was like, everything's scrambled, and I was like, man, do I have to reschedule Dallas for like a month out because I have like guests like a month out? I'm like, fuck, But once I put that message out there in the Facebook, Dallas actually messaged me, and he was like, hey, I heard about what happened with Dave. When was he originally scheduled? And I told him, and he's like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like, I didn't ask him. It's like, and I thought that was really awesome. Truly appreciate him kind of reaching out for that. Dallas, that's an important episode too. The lag was fucking crushing me in that one. I felt terrible. But that one, I learned the most about DI versus DE in that one. Guys, all the DIs are fucking lying to you. They're fucking liars. Do you really think they don't care about what you think about them? That's fucking bullshit. Okay? They are fucking liars. Okay? What's really happening, and Dallas spelled it out very beautifully, and I kind of simplified it with my any. They just want to flex on you. That's all. Like, and what's interesting is their flex is, I've coined the phrase silent flex. Okay. They do not want to bring attention to the fact that they're better than you. They want you to notice it. Right. So you know how, like, in school, so this is my analogy. You know how, like, I don't know if you've ever been to school and someone bought something new, right? This is probably a consume example. Like, someone buys something like really new, really popular, but they're not talking about it. They're like, they just keep angling it so that you can see it, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you saw that." That type of shit. That's DI. Okay? These motherfuckers, all they care about is, like, it's like, oh man, like, how do I word this? It's because it's almost like pure emotion for me at this point. Like, DI is really just wanting for you to be like, wow, that's really great. And they're like, oh, this is nothing. Like, this old thing, like, that's a DI statement. You know? These motherfuckers are lying. Like, because they're always, I'm already triggered. Because their whole rhetoric is, I don't like the tribe, I don't care about the tribe. They're annoyed by the tribe. I still believe that. But they want you to look at them and be like, yo, like, Dallas, fucking, okay, I see what he's doing over there, without him having to advertise it. Now, in contrast, DE is the loudmouth motherfucker that is advertising everything. Like, this is like Gary V. This is Naruto, right? This very DE, I'm going to be the best, watch me, Kanye. I'm going to be the best, watch me, you don't even know, like, and they still want the same attention. But the difference is they will force it in your face, right? Like, whereas DI is doing the silent flex, as I call it, DE is doing what's called a loud flex, or alternatively, and I stole this from Gary V, they want to be the mayor of the town, right? They want to be the godfather, right? Like, they want everyone and everything to know, hey, I did this. Hey, I did that. Hey, I did this. Now, I don't even know why I'm fucking blasting about this. You guys can watch the episode, but short story, the advantage of DE, especially when you're blasting, is you get more attention, right? Because it's like you're putting it out there. Now, the problem is that you may not have actually built anything that's worth flexing about, right? If you're a fucking loudmouth, and then people actually come visit your shit and it's trash, like, you gotta be careful with that. Whereas with DI, like Dallas, Elon Musk, Jay-Z, Kobe, so on and so forth, they are working on their craft in silence for months, years, especially if they have sleep, right? They're just working in the background, doing their thing. And then the problem with that is, if they don't get it, if they don't jump on an opportunity to show the world what they can do, then they're fucking invisible. And even if they know they're the best, no one else knows. So it's like they wasted their life. Fucking sad. But Dallas really unlocked the code for DI for me, at least way deeper than before. I really appreciate him for that, man. Really, really awesome. And then also just super good vibes. I think, to be fair, Dallas always talks about whatever the fuck he wants to talk about. So, he's the, like, probably 80% of the vibes are just him vibing with himself, but it's all good. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool episode. He did talk a lot of shit about Smash Brothers, and normally I would talk a lot of shit back, but I've been getting bodied lately, so I can't even. I need to hit the hyperbolic time chamber and do some training before I can talk that shit. I need to do my DI before I talk that shit again. Okay. So we're gonna be hosting a tournament, and he's gonna stream it, which is gonna be pretty cool. So that's it. That is it in terms of my sleep processing. No questions. Thank you. Special shout outs. Gray, first of all, hi. Still love your logo. New faces. I've never met this person, but hi, Jessica, if you're still watching this or gonna watch this. Yeah, the roommate shit is fucking annoying, right? It's just, I mean, if you have any TE tips for how to get the bandwidth going, I'm gonna do a bit Best Buy play binge tomorrow, but if you have any tips in terms of getting that set up, I'd really appreciate that. And then also Adrian, I know we've recently met, so great to meet you, man. Yeah, like I think, yeah, this is DE. These fucking annoying ass kids. Yeah, this is DE, bro. And then also Natasha. Natasha's also been super awesome. Yeah, the last 10 episodes have been really great. So, with that being said, the next 10 episodes are also going to be fire. So let me just make that announcement, and then we can get the hell out of here. Next 10 are going to be fucking fire, assuming I can get my internet squared away. That's really it. I mean, if I can get the sensory literally to work, I'm super confident. Got Dave Powers. We got, matter of fact, I don't know how OE I want to do this, but we got some bigger names who are going to be stopping by. Okay. I am excited about that. I'm excited about that. It's going to be fucking fire. Plus, there's going to be game night. So round 2 of game night, Jackbox Party Games. We're going to be doing a game night March 13th. Super fun last time. I'm looking forward to this one. We have an RSVP in the Facebook groups, so go ahead and check that out. And then finally, we're going to be hosting a Smash Brothers tourney. That one's probably going to be a little bit more closed doors because, I mean, like literally you guys need to just fucking send me a friend request, you know, on Switch. But if you don't do that, it's like I'm not going to invite some random. Sorry, you know. But that's probably going to be 3rd or 4th week in March. We haven't finalized the date or time yet, so be on the lookout for that. That's it. Guys, you know, I know you guys have been dealing with a lot of my sensory chaos bullshit, and a lot of my drama. But really appreciate it. I thank you to, I think I'm at like 98 subscribers now. Really appreciate you guys. You know, it's been great making content for you guys, so be on the lookout for more soon. If you have any feedback on what you guys would like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's my fucking channel, but you know, I would love to kind of see how, I would love to see, you know, what type of content would like my FI and your FI or FE or whatever align, you know, so maybe I can take care of that. Anyway, that's probably a ramble that didn't make any fucking sense. I guess one last question. How would you rate sleep 1 to, I don't get this question. If you're here, you might want to leave a comment, but otherwise I'm not sure what this means. Like, how would I rate sleep the animal? I don't know how I would rate that. You know, it's a tool, you know. But anyway, if you want to clarify that in the comments, the actual comments, feel free. But okay. Thank you guys. Looking forward to the next 10. Like I said, more guests coming out and all that. So everyone, see you on the next one.